Hi everybody, I'm Louise from AbSafe, and I have a great opportunity today to introduce Lee Clark, who works for the Vices Group. And I want to say thanks very much for joining us today, Lee. I know that you've been really busy, particularly during the last 12 months. So I wondered if you could tell the young people watching what you do.
Yes, no problem, Louise. Hi everyone. I suppose my job title is Contractor Resourcing Manager, and that's for the whole of Vices Group on a worldwide basis. So it's
Wow.
It's quite a wide remit, to be perfectly honest.
Mm-hmm. So when your job, what do you actually do? What does it mean?
I suppose the fundamental part of my job would be to recruit contractors. We are a company that works on specific projects around the world. And of course, we cannot have that many employees because the work isn't guaranteed. So with that in mind, we have to bring in people to contract for us. So my fundamental job and the team's job is to find these individuals, bring them into the projects. But we also have a lot more to do than that. It's not just as simple as finding the person. There's a lot more remit in regards to mobilizing them to different locations around the world, any financial and very boring subject, unfortunately, but tax for different countries. And I did look back the other day on my career, and I worked out I've placed people in 45 different countries around the world.
Wow. I mean, that's quite a total, isn't it? That's brilliant.
I didn't realize I've worked on positions for 56 different countries around the world. But placed in 45, so I need to find out what I did wrong with those other 11.
Yeah. Or get one of those maps you scratch off where you go and visit so that you can actually get it all completed. So yes. What do you find joyous about your job? What do you enjoy about your job?
I suppose the main thing to enjoy about the job is when you place someone, you've got them a job. You know, it can be at times, like at the moment, we're going through hardship times at the moment with COVID, where there are a lot of people out there that are in desperate need to work. And when you give them that communication that, right, you've got that job you're starting, at times they're just so thankful, it makes you feel so good. Of course, you always have it the other way as well with the people that don't get the job. You have to tell them. So it's really trying to do that in the best way possible, and still giving them hope going forward that although they haven't got that job, you'll help them, or there will be other opportunities, and to keep them posted on anything else. So that's probably the best part. You know, previously in a previous role, I did manage to travel. So, you know, I got to see some different countries around the world, not so much now. And obviously we can't go anywhere at the moment. I'm quite happy to see the back garden at the best of times at the minute. Yeah, so those are the really good things in how we do our job at the moment.
I know you said some of the difficult things around your job are telling people they're not successful. What other things do you find challenging, not particularly related to COVID, because obviously that's a massive challenge, but generally day-to-day management of your business?
I suppose the main would be the deadlines that we sometimes have to work with, and the speciality of things that we have to look into. You know, with some requests we could be asking to look for a specialist engineer with, I mean, really, really niche skill sets to work in the Ukraine, and they then might have to speak Ukrainian or Russian. So trying to find those intricacies of the individuals, it can be very hard. Also, you can sit there and think that you've done a really great job, you found a perfect candidate, and then the client will just reject it straight away. And you can get a little bit deflated, but you just have to pick yourself up and start again, and maybe just look at things a little bit differently and ask a few different questions.
Yeah. So I suppose what's really interesting sometimes for people to listen to is how you got to your role today. Like, what advice would you give to people that maybe want to do a similar role, or a role in this kind of resourcing role? Okay. So how have you got where you are today?
I'm really not sure, to be honest.
Me neither.
Just for a bit of background, I moved to Aberdeen just over 20 years ago. I moved with my bag full of clothes and £200 in my pocket and no job. I have family up here who I stayed with for 6 months. I went round agencies to get me some temp work. I was lucky enough to find a 3-month temp job with Aberdeen City Council. They never got rid of me until 4 years later. So, you know, and that was really just through hard work. It wasn't a job I'd done before. My background was finance. So it was a financial job, but it wasn't accounts or bookkeeping, which I was used to. It was in the arrears section of the council. So it was dealing with numbers. And then after that, to be honest, I decided it was time to move on and went to an agency to find me a job in finance. And they turned around and asked me to work for them. So it was by chance. And I just thought, why not? And I think the thing in recruitment is a lot of companies only take on graduates, where I never went to university. I was never good at exams. I've always been an individual that can do a practical task.
Yeah.
But if you give me questions on a piece of paper and multiple choice, I just freeze. I can't do that. And I suppose it's just really to put it out there that although exams are important, that people just need to realise they're not the be all and end all. You can still get places by just undertaking hard work. It's all about listening, taking advice and learning. I always say to anyone that's worked for me previously, no question is a stupid question. Don't be scared to ask people questions, because that's the only way you learn.
Yeah.
And the other way is, don't be afraid to make mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, you will never learn whatsoever. Yeah. So the only thing, just don't make the same mistake more than once. That's how you learn.
I think that's a really important point, that, you know, exams and career paths that way, you know, going to university aren't for everybody. They're important, but they're not for everybody. And I think you're right. I mean, I've mentioned this before on previous videos, is that I like to call mistakes a learning opportunity. So it's something you need to learn from, but it shouldn't, if it's an honest mistake, then it's not something that should crush you, because these things happen. And I think your other point is really valid, is that we need to work hard to get to where we are. And that just takes a bit of commitment and, like you say, and really good listening skills, and I suppose almost a want to learn, because I'm older than you, and I'm still learning. Every day I learn something new. Like I always say, every day is a school day.
Definitely. And it's, I maybe won't release my age, but as I said, I've been in Aberdeen for 20 years, and I moved here when I was in my mid-20s.
So I'm not young myself.
Yeah. But it's all about hard work. If you have the enthusiasm to do well in a job, then you should do well in a job. And it's also surrounding you people who you can learn off.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing I've tried to do, and I'm still learning every day, is I'm trying to teach people within the team of how we can do things, but it's not teaching it as me telling them how to do things. It's as a collective. And I'm also trying to instill that if we achieve anything, it's not me that's achieved it, or it's not an individual that's achieved it. We've achieved it as a collective.
As a team, yeah.
And you work as a team. And I think that's quite important these days, is we all have our own career paths, but we all need someone else to help us along those career paths.
Yeah, I agree.
So you always need to work as a team.
I think if you find a really good mentor or somebody that has more experience than you, that is willing to share that experience on a really honest level, I think that's the best learning environment. And I had a similar experience when I started running care homes, and he'll never watch this, so I can be nice. So I learned loads from him, and he didn't really know that he was teaching me, but I literally learned a craft from him, and I was 40 odd, you know, so it just shows you that you can learn a different career if you're in the right environment, surrounded by the right people that are willing to share their knowledge. So I think that's a really good point. And actually, it sounds like you're a really good manager. So that's great.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think it does, because, you know, you're open to, you know, honest communication and learning and working collaboratively. And people use that term a lot, as you know, Lee, but it's not that often you really find it, that people really want to say this is a team game, this is a team effort. Yeah.
And it's also just putting your hand up when you've made a mistake to acknowledge that you've made that mistake. I have to do it all the time, to be honest. In the world that we work within, our team position, we're learning every day. There may be a different country we're going into. You may think you know how to do things.
Yeah.
It's not always that simple. So you have to also be open to going to ask for advice and not just take it for granted that you know what should be done.
Yeah. I think
that's what I think is important.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. So my final question is, if you had a magic wand, what would you change?
In my own career?
Doesn't matter. It's a magic wand. Okay. You can change anything you would like.
Well, I would probably say to grow some hair, but...
I knew you were going to say that.
I've been without hair for long enough now that the beard's just enough, thankfully. Everyone will probably laugh at this, but my wife won't let me remove my beard because I think she's scared of what my face looks like underneath it, because then I'll have no hair whatsoever. So
that's a brilliant answer. Listen, Lee, I know that you're really busy, so I really do appreciate the time that you've spent, particularly for the young people of Aberdeen. So on behalf of AbSafe, I want to thank you for your time today.
No, that's great. Thank you very much for asking me, Louise. And I hope everyone has a great day and keeps continuing to stay safe.
Right. Bye.
Thank you.